I told myself that I would only film this video if I decided that I really wanted to film it because so many people have done it already, and after watching a couple of other people's videos, I decided, why the hell not? Let's just do it. So today I'm going to be tier ranking all of my series that I have ever read. Before we get started, let me tell you how I ended up picking the series. So first of all, I only picked a series in which I had read more than one book. Number two, there is one book that is an exception to all of that where I only read the first book, but I never got to the rest of the series because I disliked the first book so much. And usually I'm the person who, even if I don't really like the first book, I'll just continue reading the series to see like if it gets any better. And this one I was just like, yeah, no. So I included it in here anyway because I'm not gonna have a whole lot of like bad tier books or trash tier books because I genuinely enjoy a lot of the things that I read. But that is going to be an exception. So when I get to it, I will let you know. And third, this is literally every single series I've ever read. Like before BookTube, during BookTube, up to date right now, and I think it consists of 34 different series, I think, which is way more than I thought that I'd read. And granted, this isn't like finished series, remember, this is just, I might have only read the 2 of the books of the series. I read a lot more than I thought that I did, and let's just get started so this video is not too long. This is what I ended up doing for my tiers, and I know that some people did like a demigod tier like Hannah from A Clockwork Reader, and some people did, I think, like another tier, I can't remember. I just went ahead and did God, Great, Good, Okay, Bad, and Trash because I felt like having that extra one between like God and Great was just too much for me, and too many things would fall into that category, so I'm making decisions here. So first we have A Darker Shade of Magic, which, I mean, come on. If you know me, you know this. I remember watching Hannah's video and hearing her say that God tier books were ones that had like a lasting impact on her. And for me, I feel the exact same way. So the God tier books are going to be ones that I still to this day talk about on my channel, ones that I absolutely love, ones that I will reread forever and continue to reread, and that kind of thing. You probably already know what those are, but anyway. Okay, so City of Ghosts is the next one, which is Victoria Schwab's middle grade book. And I think I'm gonna put this one in the good tier. I don't talk about it so much, but at the same time, it's also like a mood sort of story where like I like to read it in October, November, that kind of like part of the year, and so that's why I feel like it's just good. It's good for that kind of the year, but for the rest of the year, nah. Okay, Vicious by V.E. Schwab, I'm going to put in the great tier. Vicious is so great. It's so, I can't even explain. It's so good. If you haven't read it, read it. It's really good. Anyway, that's all I have to say. The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, or The Raven Cycle if you want to talk about the series name. I'm gonna put this one in the great tier as well. I definitely want to reread it, but I think it's just been so long since I've reread it that I've lost a lot of what happened in the series, and so it's not in that God tier anymore for me. It's just in the great tier because I hold very special memories of it. I really enjoyed it, and I still do talk about it, but it's not one that is like, yes, for me, like all the time. So that's why. Warcross by Marie Lu, I'm going to put in the okay tier. I actually forgot that I had read this series until I looked at my bookshelves while I was making this list of series that I've read, and this one was on my books, and I was like, oh wait, I did read that. And I think that's why it's in the okay tier. I've never once thought about rereading it. I've never once thought about talking about it on my channel. It was just a good duology. There's not much more I can say about that. If you like sci-fi and you like video game style books, pick it up. Ember in the Ashes. So this is one of those series that I've only read the first 2 books, and I know the 3rd book is already out. I still have yet to read it, and the 4th book is coming out maybe this year, I think. Is it great? Is it good? It's definitely not God. Great, good. I think because I haven't read the rest of the books or like the last book yet, I'm gonna have to put it in the good tier. I think if I reread them all like in succession with one another and kept the series going, it would definitely be in the great tier because I really love the world. I love how like ruthless it is. That's really like weird of me to say, but I really love how dark and like bad it is. Yeah, and I love Elias. So next is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, which I have raved about on my channel the past couple of months, especially like turning into the new year because that's when I read it originally. So I'm gonna put them in the great tier. The series is actually not even finished yet, but I just really, really love it. It's one of my favorite sci-fi books, and I just really like it a lot. Okay, that's really just gonna be the explanation for a lot of these. It's just, I like it. Okay, Illuminae, come on guys. Like, God tier. For me, Illuminae is just one of those series that's so different and stands out so much from all of the other books that I read that I really love it, like 24/7 constantly. Like if somebody's asking me for a really cool, interesting book that will like keep them on their toes and keep them interested the whole time, Illuminae. Constantly. Like I genuinely feel like anybody, even if you don't enjoy science fiction, can enjoy that book just because of the format that it's in and the stuff that happens in it. It's like action-packed, it's suspenseful, it keeps you on your toes. It's so good. It's God. It is God tier, okay? Dark Artifices by Cassandra Clare. I'm so conflicted. Okay, so I never finished Queen of Air and Darkness, which is bad of me. So I don't know how the series ends, so I don't know if that would like help me decide whether it's like good or great. It's definitely not God for me. I'm gonna put it in the great tier. I feel like a lot of these books are gonna be great because I feel bad putting them in the good or worse than that. Nevermore by Jessica Townsend, which I just reread, so you guys know my thoughts on that one. It is going in the God tier for me. I love it so much. The series is so fun. It's so fun, and I'm so excited to get to the next couple of books when they come out. The Lightning Thief, y'all. Like, some of these are just like immediate, like, God tier. I know it. The Lightning Thief was the series when I was a kid that got me into reading. So that shit is God tier. I wouldn't be here without that series. Okay, Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. So this is one of those books that I talk about constantly on my channel. I talk about all the time. I still have yet to read the last book in the series that you know if you watched my vlog for the reading rush, but this book is definitely not God tier, at least to me. I do talk about it all the time, but it never made like a lasting impact on me where like, that music is in the back of this video, I swear to God. Anyway, Truly Devious. This is going to go for me in, and I really feel kind of bad doing this, but in the good tier. I don't really know why I'm putting it in this tier. It just feels right to me. It didn't make like a huge lasting impact, but I really, really enjoyed it. And it got me a little bit more interested in thrillers and mysteries as a whole. But for some reason, it's just like, I don't know. Over the months, it just hasn't like stuck with me that much, I guess, which is kind of why I haven't read the third book yet. Anyway, I don't know, it's in the good tier. We're just gonna move on now. Throne of Glass. So this one, I have seen very polarizing opinions. I've seen people put it in the trash tier. I've seen people put it in the God tier. I'm kind of scared. For me, it's neither of those. It would probably fall somewhere in the middle. And honestly, I know that there are so many issues with the series. I acknowledge them all, and I definitely agree that there are major issues with some of the characters, some of the writing, like, oh God. But I have to put it in the great tier because I genuinely really enjoyed the story. I loved the world building personally, and I loved the magic, and I loved just, I just remember reading the series and being like, oh my God, like I need to know what's gonna happen. I need to keep going. And for me, a book that's like that or a series that's like that is really good. A Court of Thorns and Roses. Oh geez, did they just put like authors together? I'm so confused. Why are these next to each other? Court of Thorns and Roses is going to also go in the great tier for me. No, it's gonna go in the good tier. Oh God, okay. I don't know why. Something in my brain is like Throne of Glass over A Court of Thorns and Roses, even though I've reread the second series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, one time more than I reread Throne of Glass, which was 0 times. For me, the last book, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and the like little like novella thing that she released afterward, I just don't like those books. I don't really like the last book in the series. I don't like the novella like at all. I really did not like that. The first 2 books are really good. The second book is amazing in A Court of Thorns and Roses, but I think it's because of the end of the series that I have to put it in the good tier. I'm sorry for those of you who really love Harry Potter, but Harry Potter is not a God tier book for me. I've always loved it, and I've loved like the Wizarding World and Universal, and I've loved everything that goes along with Harry Potter, but for me, the series has never held that like genuine like childhood enjoyment as it does for a lot of people on BookTube. So for me, it's going to go in the good tier. I'm sorry. I'm putting Harry Potter under Throne of Glass, and I just feel like a lot of you are going to be angry with me, but don't be angry. They're just my opinion. I would honestly put it in the great tier, but at this point, right now, when I'm filming this, I have more of an urge to reread Throne of Glass than I do Harry Potter. I like high fantasy more than I like Harry Potter, so that's all I have to say about that. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, the series, it's gonna go in the okay tier for me. It was not my favorite series of all time. I didn't really like the last book that much. I don't remember genuinely half of what happened. The second movie was not my favorite. So for those reasons, it's okay. It's fine. I'll reread it if I had to. I did actually reread the first book, and it still didn't make that much of an impact on me, so it was okay. The Last Magician. Oh boy. Oh boy. Really funny. This is one of my favorite series of all time, and I always forget that I read it. I don't know if that's good or if that's bad, but then as soon as I realize that I forgot it, I feel so bad. I'm really hesitant to put it in God tier because it's just not one of those series that immediately comes to mind, so I think it's gonna have to go in great tier. And I feel really bad because it genuinely is one of my favorite series. I absolutely love it, but it's been so long since I've reread it. I don't remember a lot of what happens because there's so many intricate things that happen in it, and I just need to do a good reread, and then I feel like it'll be God tier. One of Us is Lying is gonna go in the okay tier. It wasn't my favorite book. I definitely like Truly Devious more as like a murder mystery, but I still really enjoyed it. Would I reread it? Probably not, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it in the moment. School for Good and Evil. I think that this is going to be my first bad tier book. And let me tell you a little bit why. So I read the first book, really loved it, 5 stars. Second book, a little bit too long, not all that stuff needed to happen, 4 stars. The third book definitely needed to be like cut in half and was 3 stars for me, just not that great. Progressively, as the series went on, it got worse for me in particular, specifically, me personally. And I actually had no interest in rereading it or even looking at it on my shelf anymore, so much so that I actually got rid of it. I unhauled it and I never talked about it. I unhaul books all the time, and this was just one of those series that I was like, I don't really need it. So I unhauled it. I'm putting it in the bad tier. The Cruel Prince. Okay. This is that book that I was talking about in the beginning that is an exception to the rules that I made. I know so many people love this series. This series is like God tier for so many people, and I genuinely never understood why, because I hated the first book. And I'm sorry, but personally, I really did not like it. So much so that even when I had the arc of the second book, I just refused to pick it up because I was like, no, I don't want this in my life. I couldn't even begin to tell you why I didn't like it because it was so long ago that I read it, and I just kind of like immediately pushed it out of my mind as soon as I read it. Like, I think Carden was just like a true, genuine asshole, and I could never see how he would begin to redeem himself in any way, if he even does. I don't know. And so many people, when I said that, pointed out that the title does say The Cruel Prince, but like, there's just something about that book. I'm like, nah. Also, he has a tail, and then immediately I was like, nah, not for me, man. So I'm putting it in the bad tier. I'm not putting it in the trash tier because, like I said, I could not genuinely explain to you why I didn't like it because it's been so long since I've read it. The things that I said were just kind of generalizations of what I remember. Would I reread it? I might be willing to give it a second chance because so many people love this book. Anytime soon? Probably not. Shatter Me, oh god, okay. We're getting into the ones that I'm like have controversial opinions of. Shatter Me is either gonna go in the bad tier or the trash tier, and I feel really bad saying that because when I read the series, I genuinely enjoyed it, but looking back on it now, there's nothing about the series that I remember, like truly just remember in general, actually. Somebody, when I was watching their tier ranking video, mentioned that she wears like a purple spandex suit, and that for me was like, oh yeah, nope, don't want to remember that. God, I'm so close to putting it in the trash tier, but I feel genuinely bad. I'm gonna put it in the bad tier. I read the whole series. I liked it. I don't remember much about it. Twilight, oh boy. I actually just recently reread Twilight, which is kind of a sneak peek for something that may or may not be going up on my channel. Hopefully it will, but I have to get around to finishing it first. But I genuinely have to put this in the trash tier. And I'm sorry for those of you who really love Twilight. I just genuinely cannot with this series, with this book in particular, with Twilight. And if that video that I was talking about goes up, you'll know why. That's all I'm gonna say. Hey guys, so this is me while I'm editing this video currently, and I just wanted to add this note in here because I'm currently editing this a couple days after Stephenie Meyer released that she is going to be releasing Midnight Sun, I think sometime in August. I honestly don't really care enough about it to bother to check, but I know that everybody is super on the like must reread Twilight hype train right now, and I already did that. And I still didn't like it. So sorry if you like Twilight, but it just did not hold up for me. That's all I wanted to say. I was somehow ahead of the schedule, which never happens. I decided to reread Twilight on a whim, and then all of a sudden Stephenie Meyer releases that she's putting out the book that took freaking 10 years or so to make. Am I psychic? Probably. But anyway, okay, back to the video. Reading it as a like 12-year-old in 7th grade or 6th grade or however old you are when you're 12, whatever grade you're in, versus reading it now as a 22-year-old, having already read so many like great books, it's trash. It's really bad and I don't like it. The movies, amazing. I love them so much. I could rewatch them all the time. I love the movies. The book, God fucking no. Passenger by Alexandra Bracken is the next series, and this is another one that I totally forgot that I had ever read, which was great. This one is gonna go in the okay tier. I remember liking it, remember absolutely nothing about the entire series. I don't remember what the main character's name was, so that's cool. The Trials of Apollo, I'm going to put in the good tier. If you're a Rick Riordan fan and you've been with my channel for a while, you know my history with the Trials of Apollo. I read the first 2 books, they were okay. The first one was actually really good. The second one I was like, do I really like this series as much as the other ones? Not really, but will I keep reading? Sure. And then did I keep reading? No. So it's gonna go in the good tier until I read the rest of the series. The Iron Trial by Cassandra Clare. So this series I totally forgot that I read until I was going through my Goodreads and was like, oh yeah, I did read that. I read actually the first 2 books, so that's why I put this on this list, and for me, it's gonna go in the bad tier. I don't really remember anything about it other than that the main character is like supposedly somehow related to the bad guy. I don't know if anybody was planning on reading that story. I could be totally misremembering it, so don't take that as a spoiler or anything. I genuinely don't remember, but something happened with the main character and I was like, oh no, I'm not about this, and I just stopped reading. Divergent, I'm so hesitant. See, I'm remembering the movies, and the movies for me, trash tier. Immediate trash tier. Especially the second through all of the other ones they ended up making that didn't need to exist. Trash tier. The first one, it was a good tier. I actually really liked that movie, and I liked the first book in Divergent, and I read the second one in like 6 hours, and the third one was alright, but was not my favorite because I knew what was gonna happen by the end of it. I want to say bad tier, but something in me also wants to say trash tier because of how bad the movies were, but I know that has nothing to do with the book. It's going on the trash tier, sorry. The Hunger Games. This is actually gonna go in the good tier. I think The Hunger Games was one of those books that genuinely was good. It was really interesting at its time when it was all this dystopian stuff was just coming out. It was before everything else. It was like the head of the dystopian era, so definitely think it was good. Also the movies kick ass. I really love those book to movie adaptations. Haven't reread the series in a while. Actually got rid of the series because I didn't care about it anymore. But just as like a remembering slash movies slash like everything else, it's going in the good tier. The Heroes of Olympus. Ooh, I love them. They're going in the great tier. They're not God tier for me because God tier to me is like The Lightning Thief, is Percy Jackson. The Heroes of Olympus were really good. I really love them, and I honestly need to reread them soon, but they're not like Percy Jackson and the Olympians level. So they're like right underneath. Oh, Magnus Chase. Okay, this is also gonna be a great tier book. This series was so good. I love this trilogy so much. I especially love the representation in it and how everybody's just so normal about it. There are some books that focus their attention around representation and around diversity and mental illness and stuff like that, and they make their fantasy books kind of about that, which is totally fine if it's done in the right way. With Rick Riordan's books, they're just kind of in there as such normalities, and it's so nice to see. It's so wonderful to read about. They're just, everything is just so normal. It's like in the real world, like people with mental illness and with disabilities and, you know, diverse things and people, they exist and they're normal. And I really love that Rick Riordan just like casually throws them in there and doesn't make any mention of it whatsoever, because it's just normal. His books are great. I love them so much. Going on. So, City of Bones, or The Mortal Instruments, is right next to the Infernal Devices on here. And I'm really questioning which one is God tier. I really want to say that the Infernal Devices is God tier because, God, I love that series so much. I remember the big moments and the funny moments, but the details I don't really remember. And for me, the City of Bones, who am I? For me, The Mortal Instruments really holds a place in my heart as, you know, gotten me into reading, gotten me interested in like fantasy and that kind of thing, even though it's just urban fantasy, but it's like, you know, still. I don't want to just put them both in God tier because I feel like that's cheating. No, you know what? I'm putting the Infernal Devices in God tier because I genuinely think that that series is so good. It's so good. It's so well done. And The Mortal Instruments is great, and it definitely has, you know, so many things. Fuck it, I'm putting them both in God tier. I don't even care anymore. Next, Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I really, really love this series. Is it God tier for me? Probably not. So it's gonna go in great tier. Genuinely one of my favorite series. I really, really love it. I just love like the superheroes with like the alter ego kind of thing happening in it. It's always been fun for me. And there were so many twists and so many like alter ego things happening that I really love it. So, Six of Crows. So this is another one of those series that so many people are obsessed with. So many people love it. And for me, it was just like a decent series. It never really made like any sort of an impact on me. And so for that reason, it's gonna go in the good tier. It was never like a standout series for me. I feel like if I had read it when it first came out and people were first talking about it, it would be like literal God tier. Like I would love it so much. But I think because I waited so long to read it, that the hype had kind of gotten to me and it just wasn't as good as people would make it out to be. Sorry. I'm sorry. Shadow and Bone, this is going in the bad tier. I do not like this series. I don't like the Darkling. Sorry for people who do. I don't like him. I don't even remember what their names were. Alina and someone else that starts with an M. I can't remember his name either. Yeah. Sorry. So that's it. That's all of them. Wow. I have a lot more bad tier books than I thought I was gonna have. Oh god. I even said in the beginning, I was like, you know, I'm not expecting to have a lot of bad or trash tier books because I genuinely enjoy the books that I read. And like, yes, that's true. But at the same time, it's just been so long since I've read some of these like bad tier books that I called them. They don't stand up to some of the books that I've read either recently or some of the better series that I've read in my life. So there you have it. Y'all can come after me for not rating Six of Crows higher, for rating The Cruel Prince lower, for trashing all over Shatter Me. I'm sorry. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me do this. Thank you guys so much for watching. All of my social medias are in the description below if you would like to follow me or check up on me and my personal life outside of my videos. But I think that's gonna be it. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you later. Goodbye!